Welcome to Vulnerability, Introspection and Growth, the podcast where we explore the beautiful, messy and transformative magic that happens when we dare to go within. I'm your host, Robin Harris, and in each episode we'll dive into real, honest stories from people who've faced their fears, embraced their vulnerabilities and discovered unexpected growth in their personal lives, careers, or businesses. This is a space for deep listening, open hearts, and soul-nourishing conversations. Because when we meet ourselves in our rawest moments, that's often where our greatest wisdom starts. Let's begin. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Vulnerability, Introspection and Growth. And I'm absolutely delighted today to have my lovely friend Barbara Mastropirro with me today for this episode. And Barbara offers a holistic, multi-dimensional approach to well-being, blending together some amazing skills and tools that you have, Barbara: Kinesiology, Geomancy, and Spiritual Ascension Healing to restore balance across the body, mind, and spirit. And through this integrative method, she supports people in releasing what no longer serves them, helping them gain clarity and reconnecting them with their true self. She has a particular passion for teaching, holding space for her students, empowering them to become the best practitioners they can be, and trusting themselves. Now, Barbara, how beautiful is that? That is just such an amazing set of skills that you have and an amazing vision that you have for the people you work with. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Robin, for having me, really.
And as you know, I start each podcast by asking my guests 3 questions. The first one for you is, what makes your story relatable for others?
Potentially, I am a normal person and with a big life baggage, but that's it. I'm normal.
And that's beautiful, because we are all just human beings. And I love that saying.
Story, but that's it. Yes.
Yes, absolutely. I love that saying of we're all just walking each other home. And as you say,
absolutely, yes.
As you say, with our own story and our own circumstances, but we are underneath it, we are just human beings. And who do you feel will gain the most from listening to this conversation?
I hope those who can believe they have potential for change.
And lastly, what do you hope people will take away from listening to our conversation today?
Hope that they can empower themselves, embracing themselves for who they are.
Oh, I just absolutely love that. Hope is one of my big things, that we give each other hope, because that sense of being hopeless, that's where I started my journey, feeling hopeless. And the transition, just that simple, big shift from hopeless to hopeful.
Yeah.
And to embrace who we are at our core. That's beautiful. That's so transformational. So, Barbara, you have experienced a lot of personal trauma in your own life, including the death of your parents when you were only a teenager, and then losing your home. And as we know, when we haven't yet learnt the tools, or we don't yet feel we have the space or the time to gently unpack those traumas and those experiences that we've been through, they can get stuck in our body and lead to dis-ease. And in fact, you then went on and you were given one of those most frightening of diagnoses. You were told that you had cancer. So would you tell us a little bit about that experience, about what helped you navigate those deeply challenging times, and What led you to doing the amazing work that you do today?
Wow, I was thinking this morning about this conversation, and as a matter of fact, a lot of vulnerability came up because, first of all, it's probably the first time I openly talk about that time. My friends, they all have bit in pieces of my story, except for my husband, he's got the old vision. But I, from my training as well, I realize how important it is really to be in touch with your own uh, emotions. At the time, as you said before, I was a teenager. I was left on my own, so I had no one supporting me. And there were other times, but nevertheless, I was on my own, and a teenager on its own, they think they have the world in their hands. They can do everything. Potentially they can, I'm not denying. But that led to a total breakdown. I was scammed. I lost what my parents, and in that sense, I hope they were not wealthy. So we didn't lose much on practicality on material things, but I lost confidence in myself, and it took me a long time to not feeling shameful for what I did. And I can see now I was a teenager, a traumatized teenager. No one has ever mentioned teenage trauma. So I lost everything until my foster mom came along, and she's in spirit right now. But she always said, if you had a gun, you would have used it. So from that day, I started rebuilding my life. But I had to find the confidence, building the trust from my foster family. So I worked so hard in studying. I had to show what I could do, I had to repay a second chance in life. And I worked 16 years in the city. I flat out in the city of London. And one day I had these insights that said, you have to go to Italy. My husband was offered a job there. When you don't want to do something, but something within you is say you have to go, you have to go, you have to go. So I did, and that probably what saved my life. Because in Italy they started screening for breast cancer at the age of 40. And there I was bang on time. And again, even at the time having being diagnosed with cancer, I was so able or so good at denying everything that it's just an illness. You get on, you carry on, Barbara, work, work, work. Until when we came back to England, massive breakdown. And it's where I started really tuning in. I started working with an amazing mentor that only worked energetically. And he gave me hope in getting better because I was getting depressed. I was so angry, and I didn't realize that my anger was the injustice that I didn't realize of what I had to go through without the mental knowledge, the support that you have to go through so many steps, so young, and on your own. That is the other big thing. On your own, I was horrible. Anyway, and it was then I started studying kinesiology. Um, and that is was really the very first realization of how trapped emotion can hit your body. Of course, that is 11 years ago, 2014. Yeah, 11 years ago, when I started studying. And it has been a roller coaster of a journey because that's, so much more every time I do some deep work is coming up.
And I love that because people often say, oh, It's just come back that I'm facing the same stuff that I had to face before. I thought I dealt with this.
Yes.
Why is it still coming up? And I say, you're only ready to deal with the layers that you're ready for when you're ready for it. It's not that you didn't deal with it before. It's not that you did it wrong. It's not that you failed. What this actually means is you're ready to go deeper. So rather than feeling, oh, I'm not good enough, I didn't do it right, I failed. No, celebrate. It's a reason to celebrate because it actually means you've moved forward. You are more prepared. You have more tools. You have more capacity, you have more understanding, more insight. That's all this
Yeah.
is saying. You've gone deeper. It's just, it's like an onion. We peel off layers, but we can't
It-
peel them off until we're ready. So it's a
Yeah,
reason
and
to celebrate, not to be angry.
absolutely. And every story, every experience is not just the experience. It is all the other part of your life that are involved, your emotional response to that, and the people around you, the memories. There is so much that we do not realize. And I think I can safely say that I blame current society because we only want everything on the spot. No one teaches us this is a lifelong journey.
And we want, yes, like you say, we want that instant fix, and we look at
Oh,
everything with predominantly from the head. So rationalizing rather than realizing there are multi layers, as you're saying, multi dimensions. And the
yeah,
body, if you think we're kind of like that iceberg, aren't we? This is the tip of the iceberg, the bit that
yeah.
we're thinking from the head. We've got all of the body that's also sharing and holding wisdom for us. But our society doesn't teach us how to tap in, listen, draw on, use that wisdom,
No, they don't. It's
which is why
just
I
a quick
love
fix.
kinesiology.
I love kinesiology. I love everything because we look at who you really are for what you are. And in fairness, I am, that I've been on holiday um, to Italy, and the only two places I wanted always to go were Sicily and Naples, which is in the south, and I'm from the north. And it was while I was in Italy that I had this massive, huge healing experience that it left me like so emotional. All of a sudden, I don't have to fight those memories. And it took me 40 years, and of which 30 probably I was unaware, but 10 of which I have worked relentlessly on myself. And I had this massive realization I now can honor my story. It's not, and it is quite recent. So that it shows that you have there is always something that comes up. And those trauma, they'll never go away. You just have, as you said, a better equipment to deal with it, a better conscious awareness of what trauma is, or what can help, how it can affect you. And for me, after 40 years saying, oh, I don't mind being Italian, I don't mind going to Italy. It is silly to say, but it has been like that. I had this anger that was holding me back from loving my country.
Part
And
of who you are, because that's part of your identity.
it is part,
And if you're not able to embrace that, it's
and
painful.
it is painful because I always had this sense of I don't like Italy, but that's not true. It was my story. It was too painful, and having this relief, it felt like someone took a ton of weight from my shoulder, and now I have this sense of peace in my heart. But that's the layers. It it is work, and I had amazing people in my life. My husband for first, because even though we didn't realize what was going on with me, from a PTSD perspective, um, he's always been there. So that was the biggest help of all. And then meeting two amazing mentors, and now here I go again. They gave me so much support and understanding that we are so much more of what we pretend to be or what society tell us what we have to be. We are amazing human beings. And
Sometimes we need that outside perspective, don't we? When we can't see it for ourselves, to connect, to have that connection, somebody who reaches out, touches something deep inside of us and connects and sees who you really are
yeah,
until they can help you then see it for yourself.
yeah, it is that trust that you have to build up again, trust in yourself, in other people, because you've been let down big, big times. So it is an ongoing work, but it is so rewarding. It is amazing when you have those shifts, and you probably and your other guests have experienced them. It is like, why? Why? For me, it was like, why did it take so long? But that was probably my journey. In It's a longer journey and in understanding and maybe more having more skills to support my clients and friends.
I think going back to what we were talking about earlier, it's that question of it happens when we're ready. And the readiness
Yeah.
probably is I've had these experiences, I've learnt these tools, I have built up my trust, I have connections around me, I feel supported, and all of those things. Because I sometimes think, if I'd been taken from where I was when I started my journey and put where I am now, it's where I wanted to be, but I wouldn't have been ready. I
No.
wouldn't have been able to the maintain the life that I have now because I would have let it slip away through fears and not having the tools I needed and self-doubt and all of those things. They would have been that self-sabotage that just wouldn't have allowed me to stay. Although I wanted it, I guess I didn't believe I could have it. I didn't trust I could have it. I didn't feel I was worthy of it. All of those things
Yeah.
that, although, we say 40 years, but, and it's again that sort of idea of you suddenly have a shift. You look at people who have had success in their lives and you think, oh, these overnight successes, but we don't see what went behind that. And sometimes we look at people who maybe have the life we want and we think, it was so easy for them because we don't understand and appreciate. We haven't been through their journey, and others may be looking at us thinking the same thing, whereas we're sitting inside going, "Why am I not there yet?" But there's that. I love that thing
Yeah.
of if where you are now is where you dreamed, where you longed to be at one point in your life. And it
Yeah.
may have felt like a very long journey and that the steps were small and slow, but we're here.
Yeah.
And we're
Yeah.
still moving forward, even when sometimes it feels like we're stuck and we're stagnant. On some level, things are still shifting, still changing, and we can still be focused and moving towards another goal and another goal. I love that
Absolutely.
analogy of climbing a hill, and you think, I'm getting to the top, and you go over that crest, and oh, no, I'm not. I'm still got all of that to go. And then you get to that, but you think, oh, I've still got all that. Because I think every time we move forward and we get to what we think was a goal, we realize from here, I could get all the way over there. From back
Yes.
there, I couldn't see any further than here. But now I can see a whole new vista opening up in front of me.
Yeah, absolutely. And what you were also saying before is the support we all need. I was texting a friend before, and I was mentioning this interview And what you do, the podcast, it is about being vulnerable. For me, it's about being real. And she said, it's the irony, because she knows me. It was, for me, being vulnerable was probably um, being in this space, the most difficult thing, trusting. And I said, yes, Sammy, that is the irony. But it feels so important because um, we can work with that. There is nothing shameful to feel vulnerable. And I'm very grateful. I had two amazing person in my life that kept telling me that, there is nothing to be shameful because we don't want to be heavy burden to our friends or family. But that's not, if they don't want to help us, they will be not there for us. So that's the point. Have the people around you who really care for you. And it's they are there, and there are more people out there that share this journey that we probably are aware of.
I completely agree with what you're saying there. It's that paradox, isn't it? Vulnerability is the thing that in our heads we think, no, 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 don't go there because it's frightening, because it's painful, because we feel a hell of a lot of shame. And our society does not handle shame very
No.
well. They'll throw it out there, but you don't want to take it. You want to throw that somebody else's way, keep clear of
Yeah.
it. And yet, it's that vulnerability when we can step into, own, and embrace our vulnerability. That is where we connect because that is what we
Mm.
share as human beings. That we are vulnerable. We are a social species. We need others in order to thrive and survive and thrive. So, yes, if we want to make those connections, there is a degree of vulnerability because we need to trust them. And that leaves us open to potentially being hurt.
Yeah.
We hope that we are able to make good choices and trust people who are trustworthy, but also that if we do end up getting hurt, that they didn't do it intentionally and we can repair things. But all of that takes vulnerability.
Yes.
And yet, like you say, the rewards that you get from that kind of vulnerability and seeing it not as a weakness, but as a strength and the connections that we make, they are so worth it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there is nothing probably more worthy than really being who you are.
Yes.
That's full stop, and again, like we all have our stories, and my story is that. So, yeah, it takes a lot of work, a lot of courage, because it does take it. But it's so powerful, so empowering, so liberating. That's it, that is liberating from all this expectation from others. Because in the end, when you hide behind that, you are fitting a picture of someone who wants you to be like that, but you are not yourself. You
That's
know,
so
that
true.
that is so important for me. I remember my journey into kinesiology was all about empowering, and empowering it still is. We are amazing being. We have every right to be well, healthy, wealthy, happy. But it starts with us.
Yes, it does.
It
And it's
starts.
that rather than a sense of responsibility, a sense of responsibility
Yeah,
that
I
we
like.
are able, we get
Yeah.
to choose, we get to find out, discover, explore, find out who am I? How
Yeah.
do I be that? How do I express that? How do I find my tribe through that? Connect with the people who
Absolutely.
get me and I get them, all of that.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
like you were saying a little bit earlier, it was your journey through all of these challenges that then enabled you to bring what you've learned along the way to your work. And therefore, like you're saying, your empowerment, helping people to discover who they are, all of those things.
Yeah, embrace who they are because that is so fundamental for who we are, it's just not being someone unknown. You are so important to yourself, to your story, and to your friend and your family. And as you said before, we always have this expectation that people look at us, and but they look at you with also admiration. It's very difficult to accept it, And I remember when people were saying, "Oh, you are so strong," and I was like, "I don't want to be strong. I want to be normal." But there is no normality when you go through such an experience, in your life. It's just you have to be strong because otherwise you don't survive. And but that is not really a gift. The gift is acknowledging who you are and what you've gone through, and then work on that.
And I think it's the realization that strong is not necessarily strong as society might lead us to
Yeah,
believe. Strength is actually, I'm able to be vulnerable, I'm able to be me, be
yeah,
authentic, be genuine, to maybe even embrace the feelings of fear and nervousness, but not let them stop you or pull you down, but actually they turn into my fuel. They turn into my motivation. And when we do that and role model that, like you said, it empowers others because we can really be compassionate, we can empathize, we can support from that place of, yeah, that thing of, I love Brene Brown and she talks about the, me too. I've been through that. I know what you're saying. It's pretty hard going, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah. But it's the human experience.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And
So
we have this duty, responsibility to live and make the most of our lives, you know. So,
and to show other people as well. It's that Marianne Williamson quote that I love. We're not afraid of our shadow, we're afraid of our light. But if I keep myself small in order not to
yeah,
make you feel that you can't shine your light, that just makes you feel like, oh, is that what, I can't be shining my light because so if I shine mine, then I give you permission to shine yours. And then we all bring our true gifts, not those things that we're afraid of. Because we can just, yeah, I've got those as well. That's okay.
yeah.
I've got the things that I wish maybe were different, but I can embrace them. I can own them. So just as we draw to a close, Barbara, what is it that you would like people to take away? What key message would you like to share?
First of all, you are not on your own. And there are so many people going through this. And yeah, I think that's the key message. You are not on your own. We are all going through one stage or the other, to a certain degree, different type of traumas, but we are all having that. So, no, acknowledging that your story is unique to each, to yourself because it is your story. But when you find, as you mentioned before, your tribe, people who can support you in whatever capacity you think they can support you, um, then is when everything can start changing. Yeah.
Beautiful. And where can people find you? Having listened to your wisdom and wanting to connect with you, where can they find you?
So they can find me through my website, which I think you have. And I work, and I'm happy to have a chat with everyone. It doesn't need to be a client base, at times it's just a chat. And I can be found, I live in Glastonbury, and I can have conversation via Zoom, like we had this one. or in person if you are around here. So, yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for all you've shared, Barbara.
Well, thank
And
you for having me.
it's been a pleasure. All of Barbara's details will be in the show notes below this episode, so do reach out and do connect with her. Thank you for joining us today. If you've enjoyed this episode, do subscribe and follow, and feel free to share with your networks as well. And tune in next time for another wonderful guest. See you then. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Vulnerability, Introspection and Growth. I hope it's given you a moment to breathe, reflect, and perhaps even see your own story with a little more compassion. If you find this conversation meaningful, I'd love it if you'd share, subscribe, or leave a review. It helps others find their way here too. Until next time, take gentle care, and remember, the journey inwards is where the real growth begins.